Hey guys, MaddDoggMiller here for the 6th Round Podcast. I just want to apologize in advance for the very low production quality. This is our pilot episode, and we're going to increase the production value pretty high over the coming months once we get some more funding. But we're just going to start off real quick. We're going to do UFC 146 today, fight picks and betting odds. I personally won't be doing any betting odds because I'm not going to be betting. If I was going to bet something, I'd bet on Frank Mir because he's such an underdog that it's pretty enticing because he could win. I believe right now he's in plus 425, which means if you bet $20, you get about $100. So that's a pretty good deal. If you got $20, you don't mind missing. And if you go to the MGM Grand, if you live in Vegas, I believe if you bet Frank Mir to win in the first and second round, it's currently plus 800. So if you bet $20, you win 160. So if you are feeling confident on Frank Mir, I get to Vegas and throw down a pretty big bet. But let's just get started right now with the Facebook preliminaries. Mike Brown versus Daniel Padilla. Mike Brown, former WEC champion, very dominant wrestler, coming off a win of non-fan. He looked really bad in his previous fights against Ronnie Yaya and Diego Nunes. He tired quick. He didn't have that striking. But I think that'll matter against Daniel Padilla, who's coming off a 7-fight win streak. He's got 6 KOs, but he doesn't have those heavy hands. Mike Brown really struggled with guys like Manny Gambier and Jose Aldo, who had those heavy hands who can put him away, and I don't think Daniel Padilla can do that. He's going to focus on his submissions, and I think Mike Brown will stay on top and secure the win with the unanimous decision. Following up, Kyle Kingsbury versus Glover Teixeira. I don't speak Portuguese, so I'm sorry. Kyle Kingsbury was on a 4-fight win streak before succumbing to the American Psycho, Stephen Bonner. He's a tough guy. He's a really good fighter, but I'm really not going to go with him. I'm going with Glover. Glover trains at the Pit with Chuck Liddell, former UFC light heavyweight champion. He's coming off a 15-fight win streak. His last 2 wins were against Rico Rodriguez and Martin Eastman. I know it's not that big of an accomplishment, but they're tough guys just because they're over the hill. And he also has a win over Stokajiu. His last loss was in 2005 to Ed Herman. So to say the least, he's a pretty tough cookie. I'm going to go with Glover in this, probably second round TKO. This next one, Jacob Volkman versus Paul Sass. This is where Izzy and I greatly differ. I'm going for Volkman. I always go for the wrestler. He's going for Sass. I'm sure he goes for the flashy submission artist. Jacob Volkman, a couple fights ago, dropped down to 155. He has looked more or less unstoppable. He's just a dominant wrestler, imposing figure, and he's going up against Paul Sass, inventor of the Sass angle, who's 12-0 currently, 11 submissions, 7 by the Sass angle. I really think that Jacob Volkman will overpower Paul Sass and come up with the UD victory. I don't see how he'll get caught. But hey, anybody can lose. But yeah, Jacob Volkman, UD, that's my pick. Next up, we got Dan Hardy versus Dwayne Bang Ludwig. A lot of people don't know about Dwayne Bang Ludwig is that from 1999 to 2004, he was a Muay Thai and American kickboxing champion. And not just a contender, he was a champion. And he's going up against Dan Hardy, going off a 4-fight lose streak. But I'm feeling a little crazy, and I'm going to go for Dan Hardy by submission. So why submission, you say? Well, he just switched camps, suffer training with Frank Mir. And so I bet his ground game has dramatically improved. So I'm going to go with a second-round submission for Dan Hardy. Look for that. Next up, we got Jason Mayhem Miller versus CB, the Doberman Dalloway. Miller coming off a really bad loss to Michael Bisping. He looked really poor, very poor performance. CB also on a losing streak, I believe. The former Sun Devil has been working on his striking a lot, I believe, especially for this fight against Miller, because after he saw what Bisping did to him, he thinks that's going to be a way to beat him. But I really see Miller going for the takedown and getting some kind of spectacular submission that none of us have ever heard of. And so I'm going to go for Miller, probably submission of the night. Next up, Edson Barboza versus Jamie Varner. Jamie Varner is a last-minute replacement for Evan Dunham. Varner, former WEC lightweight champion before he was dethroned, real tough guy. I really think that Edson Barboza, who's on pretty much a title run, 10-0 right now, very dominant striker, is going to take this fight. I've heard some people say they're going to bet on Jamie because he's a 425 underdog. Those odds still aren't good enough for me. I really think Edson's going to destroy Jamie. It's not even fair that they bring him in for this fight. I was a huge Varner fan back in the day, and I think they should have just brought him in naturally and not put him up as a sheep against the wolf. But Edson Barboza knockout, maybe round 1 or 2. Next up, we have Ultimate Fighter 14 winner Diego Brandao versus Darren the Danger Elkins. Elkins has a little bit of a reach advantage, but that is it. None of them have very good cardio, but Diego has amazing submissions and amazing Muay Thai. He's a wrecking machine, and I'm going to go for Diego on this. What most people don't know is that Diego actually is an instructor at Greg Jackson MMA for Jiu-Jitsu. That's what he does. It's his job, besides MMA fighting. And I'm going to go Diego Brandao, submission, round 1. Next up, we're going to go to the main card, Stefan Struve versus LeVar Johnson. Struve coming off a very good performance against Dave Herman, and LeVar Johnson coming off a very dominant performance of Patrick Berry. The bottom line of this fight, I'm not even going to get into all the history because I don't think it'll last very long. LeVar Johnson's got crazy power, but if Pat Barry can take you down and almost put you in a gogoplata, or Americana, I don't remember quite what it was, but Stefan Struve can easily take LeVar Johnson down and submit him in the opening round. I don't think it'll even be a struggle, to be honest. I think that's going to be a shocker for some people. So I'm going Stefan Struve, submission. A lot of submissions on this card. Next up, Stipe Miocic versus Shane Del Rosario. Izzy, I know, is going for Shane. We've had a lot of talks about this online on Twitter. We've had a lot of arguments back and forth. I'm going for Stipe Miocic. He's a Croatian American. He went to Cleveland State University. He wrestled there. He's a Golden Gloves champion. Got really heavy hands. He's an 8-0 on a win streak, but also 11-0. Shane Del Rosario. Somebody's the must go. He's coming over from Strikeforce. There was a lot of chatter about his accident and his back injury, and I don't think that's too much to risk. I mean, he's coming off a submission victory of LeVar Johnson, but that's a whole different beast in Stipe Miocic. And so I'm going to go with Miocic just in the fact that Miocic has never been finished, even in his Golden Gloves career. He really didn't get knocked out. He's lost by decision. Whereas Del Rosario got TKO'd in his Muay Thai competition once. And so I'm a slight chin advantage to Miocic. And I'm going to say Miocic takes this bout, probably a decision or TKO. Next up, we got Roy Nelson versus Dave Herman. Roy Nelson, he's trained in Kung Fu since he was 18. He's got a Renzo Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He trains the Lion's Den with Ken Shamrock. He's basically a jack of all trades. He's done it all. I mean, he was on Shamrock's team in the IFL. He's a very well-rounded cat, probably best chin in all of MMA. Crazy knockout power, good ground game. I'm going to say he's going to blow out Dave Herman. Dave Herman from Team Quest. He's got really unorthodox striking for a heavyweight. He likes to throw a lot of jump kicks, crazy elbows and stuff. But I'm really going to say that Roy Nelson's going to destroy Dave Herman, especially after Herman's last performance against Struve, which was less than satisfying. He might be coming out with something to prove, but Roy is the wrong guy to prove it against. So I'm going to go Roy Nelson, probably by decision. Decision or TKO, third round. And the co-main event of the evening, Cain Velasquez versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Antonio Bigfoot Silva is a 325 underdog, and everybody is saying, oh, bet on Antonio. It's good odds. He's a big, strong wrestler. He's a huge sign advantage. If I had to bet my life on a fight, on this card in particular, I mean, anything can happen, but this is the one I would pick, Cain Velasquez to knock out Antonio Silva. It's not even close for me. Cain is just a man on a mission. Since he lost his title, it's all he focuses about. He thinks if he wins this fight, he'll get the next title shot, which I'm sure is what he's going for. I'm sure Antonio Silva is hungry as well, but not as hungry as Cain. He hasn't tasted it yet. Plus, Cain just switched to the Black Zillions team, which they have had a really bad run. So far, almost everybody, I think one person, has lost their opening fight. Matt Mitrione, Jake Shields, Rashad Evans, George Santiago, all those guys have lost their opening fights for the Black Zillions. So they've had a really rough year. But Cain, and the other big factor is everybody always says that Antonio Bigfoot Silva has this big size advantage. He's a really big guy. I think that'll matter. Cain Velasquez dominated Brock Lesnar, and he dominated Big Ben Rothwell, so I don't think that'll be a big problem. So I got Cain Velasquez knockout. And then finally, we got Junior Santos versus Frank Mir. I'm going to go for Junior, just because Frank Mir's been finished 4 times, all by knockout. Junior Santos, amazing striker. Mir's a 425 underdog. If you want to put $20 on him and he wins, you get $80. Feel free. That's about all I can really say. I really don't see Mir pulling this off. I think Junior will take it. Knockout, second round. And that's all I got for you guys today. This was our debuting episode. We'll be back with some more. Me and Izzy are putting together some good stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the picks. Talk to us. Follow me at MaddDoggMiller, MaddDoggg Miller, on Twitter, and then Izzy is IzzyBoy121, or you can just follow us at the 6th Round Podcast. We love to talk about MMA. Have a good one.